When an unclean spirit goes out of a man, he goes through dry places, seeking rest, and finds none. Pride is synonymous with an unclean or impure spirit that has not yet been purified through the fire of God's divine process. The means by which the Lord does this is through the dry places or wilderness, our place of testing and humbling. The wilderness represents the manifestation of the haughty spirit and arrogant mindset that sustains the structures of the kingdoms of this world. It is this we are called out from, and this that creates the struggle once we are called. And rest? This denotes true peace in Christ, which remains elusive as long as carnality exists. For this reason, Jesus taught that we must deny the self and take up our cross in order to know life. Then he says, I will return to my house from which I came. And when he comes, he finds it empty, swept, and put in order. In the same way that Israel complained in the wilderness and desired to return to Egypt, so too our carnal essence desires the same thing. But there is no peace in carnality. If we remain or return to our former way of life, we will, like many of the Israelites in Moses' day, simply fall in the wilderness, never knowing the rest of God. Then he goes and takes with him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter and dwell there. And the last of that man is worse than the first. So shall it also be with this wicked generation. In part 2, we identified the 7 other spirits as the 6 things the Lord hates, that manifest as one who sows discord among brethren, beginning with a proud look. This is an accurate picture of the carnal nature and the carnal mind. 7 denotes the end or completion of the cycle of sowing and reaping, which can be either flesh or spirit, carnal or spiritual. The end of this cycle is the fruit of the tree, which provides the necessary seed to initiate a new beginning or cycle. This new cycle reflects the 7 other spirits added to himself, correlating with the last of that man being worse than the first. Perhaps the Lord had this in mind when he said the following to the Pharisees. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you travel land and sea to win one proselyte, and when he is won, you make him twice as much a son of hell as yourselves. Twice as much a son of hell would certainly agree with the last of that man being worse than the first. Wouldn't you agree? Now, at this point, let's revisit the idea of a generation. The book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations, and from David until the carrying away into Babylon are 14 generations, and from the carrying away into Babylon unto Christ are 14 generations. Here we have a list of 42 generations that make up the one generation of Jesus Christ, beginning with Abraham. If this is true for Christ, who is the last Adam? Would an evil generation be typified by the first man, Adam? Doesn't the first Adam represent the natural and carnal essence of our being, while the last, the spiritual essence? Is it possible that there are only 2 generations to consider? Think of a fruit tree. Once the fruit has matured, then the seeds are used to initiate a new cycle. Aren't all the trees that spring out of the seeds of the first tree related to it? Doesn't this understanding work the same for the first and last Adam? 42 generations in the book of the generation of Jesus Christ. This is 40 and 2, the number of trial and testing and division and witness. It is also 6 times 7, which I believe reflects 6 important sevens in Revelation. These are the 7 angels and churches, the 7 prophecies to the churches and the book with 7 seals, and the 7 trumpets and bowls. 42 also aligns with the following. But leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it. where it has been given to the Gentiles, and they will tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months. And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. 42 months. Coincidence, or is there a spiritual lesson here? When we consider the 42 from Matthew 1:17, I believe there is definitely a spiritual angle that bears consideration. 40 and 2, where 40 denotes the wilderness and 2 denotes a witness. Does this explain the 42 months where the nations tread the holy city and the beast is given authority to continue? Would these two things not be synonymous? I believe so, and this being the case, what is meant by the nations being seen as a beast? Please consider. Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. Here, John describes the beast with 3 particular animalistic features: leopard, bear, and lion. 3 is the number of a complete witness. And the sea? Revelation 17:12 defines it as peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. In other words, the great sea of humanity. A leopard cannot be a bear, nor a bear a lion. By nature, they can only manifest what they are. So these animal features typify a complete witness of the carnal nature. This then leads to the understanding that the 7 heads correlate with the 7 things God hates, the reflection of the carnal nature through the carnal mind. This is the nature and mind of the nations of the world. Should you doubt this perspective, simply look at the turmoil that exists across the world at this present time. As for the 10 horns, horns are an extension of the heads. Therefore, they incorporate the same carnal nature and mind. In Revelation 19:19, these 10 horns are symbolized as the armies of the beast. That's it for this study. In the next, we will continue our look into the 7 other spirits. Thank you for being a part of my YouTube channel. Please feel free to subscribe and share your comments and questions. The Lord's peace be with all of you.